This week on Country Music Junkies, we are pumped to be talking to Shae Dupuy. She is a Canadian country music artist who has just released her EP, Brave. Shae, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I want to talk about your new EP, of course, and spend a lot of time talking about the stories off that EP, but let's kind of take our listeners back a little bit, because I want to talk a little bit about your story and how your journey in country music has kind of evolved, because I've known you for a couple of years now, and I just want to share with our listeners your story of development.
I started music back, taking it professionally when I was about 15, 16. I decided I wanted to do this as a career. So I started going to writing rounds and getting mentored by songwriters. And then I went to my first DCMAs when I was 17, and I started working with the guys at MCC in Alberta. And that was my first EP project that came out. I did it all with them. And then after that, I started taking a step back, and I only wanted to put out the best music that I could, and that's where Brave comes in. I took a few years, did a lot of songwriting, put out a few singles, and now I'm putting out Brave.
Excellent. Now let's talk about Brave and kind of the style and sound that fans can expect to hear from the EP. How would you describe your sound?
There's a little bit of everything. There's some fun, more kind of catchy songs on there, like Drink About It and No Worries. But then you've also got a lot of edge. There's Homewrecker, which is a little bit of a risky song, and it's got some bluesy and rock and roll in there. And then you've got Wishing on You, which is a little bit more traditional country. It's got the mandolin and the steel guitar, and it's there's just kind of a little bit of everything on there. But I wanted to push the boundaries a little bit with this EP, so I wanted to do things that were different, a lot more stripped back, and just experiment with different sounds.
Excellent. Very, very cool. Now let's talk about some of the stories behind some of the songs. So you have any that really stand out for you?
Yeah, my two favorites actually off the EP are Homewrecker and Liar. I wrote Liar down in Nashville with Jessica Mitchell, and her and I just kind of, I walked into the apartment she's staying in, and I'd never met her before, and she just kind of looks at me, and she's like, so tell me about your love life, tell me about yourself. And I was at a point that I wasn't necessarily being honest with myself, and she really got that. So she kind of called me on it, and then we came up with the title Liar, and it just developed from there, and we recorded it just us for the demo, just us singing, her doing harmonies, and a single guitar, and it was so pretty, and it was so raw and sincere that when we were listening back for the EP, and we were like, we want to put this song on the EP, but we feel like putting all the bells and whistles and overloading it with a bunch of instruments and other voices, it might take away from that rawness and that sincerity. So we just kept it as is with an acoustic guitar and me singing.
Wow, that is really, really cool. Excellent. So that's Liar.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my faves.
And now let's talk about Homewrecker. Obviously, another kind of old or potentially controversial title for a song. So let's hear about that. How did that come to be?
So that song was actually, I wrote that in high school. I was 16 when I wrote that song, which is really weird.
Wow.
It's developed since then, but it's kind of a take, because a lot of times when there's infidelity in a relationship, everybody looks at the other woman, and they're always like, it's her fault, as if she had some kind of obligation to the other girl. And I get it, but at the same time, nobody ever really points the finger at the other guy. You don't really know the situation.
Right.
So it was just kind of my take on giving people a different perspective and saying, like, hey, maybe let's not jump to conclusions. You don't know the full story, and you shouldn't necessarily be hating the other girl, because a lot of the time they don't know, or they don't have any obligation to the girl who's being cheated on. It's just one of those things. So there's a little bit, it's a political stance, and it's a little controversial, especially for a 16-year-old, but I wanted to write about that, and it was something I felt passionate about, and yeah. It was never really meant to be anything. It was a song I wrote out of anger, and it was just a way to kind of get that anger out. It was an outlet, and then all of a sudden I had this song that everyone really liked. And I rewrote it a couple times. I rewrote it with Mike Little and Chris Byrne out in Calgary, and they helped me make it a little bit more mature and just kind of hone in on it, and it is what you hear now.
That is so, so cool. Now, I want to talk about your EP release party. You have that on November 5th in Waterloo. Let's talk a little bit about that. What can fans expect from that?
So it's just going to be a really fun night. We have the guys from Windsor Buck 20. They're a duo out of Windsor, and they're coming up, and they're doing, they're opening up for me. So that'll be really fun. If nobody's heard them, they get a chance to hear them. And then I'll be going on at 9:30 and playing until 10:30. And I'm just doing all the songs from the EP with a few of my old ones, some other singles that I've released, and a few covers for everyone. It's just going to be a really fun night of me performing. We have some special surprises for everyone. Tickets are $10, but if you want my EP as well as the ticket, you can get it for $15, which is actually cheaper because you're getting my EP technically for $5 versus $10, which
Amazing.
is what it's regularly.
Perfect, and that sounds great. Now, if fans want to check out Brave, if they can't make it out to your release party and they want to check out the EP, where would you like them to go for that?
You can find me on all social media, and all the information's on there. My website is ShaeDupuy.com. You can buy physical copies on the website, and we just found out that HMV is also going to be selling them.
Amazing.
You can go to iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, all the works. It's all on there.
And be sure to check out Shae Dupuy's EP, Brave. Be sure to connect with her on social media and online. And if you can make it out on Saturday night, check out her EP release party.
Thank you so much for having me.